In this eerie exploration of the unexplained, we delve into two intriguing supernatural stories from the Cannock Chase region in the UK: the enigmatic smiling man and the haunting spectre of the Prince of Wales Theatre. Probing these chilling eyewitness accounts, we speculate on the nature of these phenomena and examine the profound psychological impacts they have on those who experience them. Join us as we journey into the extraordinary realm of the unknown and attempt to unearth the paranormal mysteries behind these fascinating reports. The Smiling Man. Close to the ancient hill fort of Castle Ring on Cannock Chase lies a quaint residential area known as Prospect Village. This small community consists of only a handful of houses and a village hall, with its inhabitants needing to traverse considerable distances along remote roads to reach the closest signs of civilization. It is along one such road that numerous individuals have reported encountering a chilling presence dubbed the Smiling Man. In the majority of these stories, people venturing out of Prospect Village along the road encounter the Smiling Man walking in the opposite direction. For those familiar with the locale, it may be helpful to note that sightings typically occur when heading towards Rawnsley, with the Smiling Man advancing in the opposite direction towards Prospect Village along Cannock Road. According to witnesses, the Smiling Man moves rapidly and gracefully along the path. Some observers have even speculated that he could be a dancer, with one remarking, "His movements resemble Michael Jackson's, fluid, rhythmic and swift." As the Smiling Man draws near and crosses paths with onlookers, he allegedly flashes a wide, menacing grin and displays a crazed stare. The most terrifying aspect of the encounter, however, unfolds moments later when passers-by glance back at the enigmatic figure they just encountered. Almost all who cross paths with the Smiling Man recount that his head appears to rotate a full 180 degrees. While his body continues moving away from the observer, his grinning mouth and deranged eyes remain locked on them, giving the impression that he can swivel his head entirely around to face backward. Although such otherworldly encounters might not appear harmful beyond startling those involved, certain psychological repercussions disclosed by witnesses may suggest otherwise. Many witnesses of the Smiling Man, for example, report experiencing nightmares for months following their encounter. A significant portion of these nightmares feature the Smiling Man himself, often pursuing the dreamer in some manner. Some within the community dismiss the Smiling Man as a mere product of the imagination, speculating that an initial fabricated tale snowballed into a widespread phenomenon that ingrained the character into the collective consciousness. However, the following account challenges this theory. On September 7th, 2021, Gemma Pugh and her family relocated to Prospect Village after purchasing a new home there. Having never visited the area previously, they were entirely oblivious to the Smiling Man and the eerie encounters associated with him. A mere 3 days later, on September 10th, Gemma set out alone, leaving her husband and children at home to collect the necessary documents for registering at a local GP's office. Regrettably, her car's battery had died, preventing her from starting the vehicle. A quick search on Google Maps revealed that the doctor's office was a brief stroll away in Rawnsley along the Cannock Road. So she grabbed her purse and embarked on her commute. While making her way down the Cannock Road towards Rawnsley, the dedicated mother encountered a supernatural presence fitting the description of the Smiling Man, despite never having heard of him before. She initially spotted the man approximately 200 metres away, advancing in her direction. "He seemed to be dancing towards me, honestly," she recalled. He was sort of skipping and frolicking, which made me feel uneasy right away. As the smiling man and Gemma grew closer, her heart rate quickened as his eerie grin and frenzied gaze soon became apparent. Gemma recounted, "You'll think I'm crazy, but his face resembled the giant smiling clown often seen on circus posters when they come to town. His eyes held an intense, explosive look. As is typical in most smiling man sightings, he swiftly passed by Gemma without issue. However, it was only when she turned to look back that something utterly inexplicable occurred. Many who have encountered the smiling man assert that his head can rotate a full 180 degrees to face the opposite direction of his feet. This happened in Gemma's case, but then something completely distinct unfolded. Unlike others who have merely observed the smiling man dancing away, Gemma insisted that he vanished before her very eyes. Gemma recollected, "He didn't fade or dissipate when I blinked, nothing like that. Instead, a mysterious black door materialized in front of him. He reached out, grasped the handle, opened it, and stepped inside. As the door closed, it and the smiling man disappeared." Distressed and shivering from her experience, Gemma chose to forego visiting the GP's office that day and returned home. She confided in her husband, but neither could provide a logical explanation for the incident. It wasn't until several weeks later, while discussing the encounter with a neighbour, that Gemma first learned of the smiling man. Hearing of similar accounts brought her some relief, as her own experience finally made sense. Gemma's children are scheduled to attend Kingsmead High School in September 2023, and the path to the school along the Cannock Road is the same one where she encountered the smiling man. Both Gemma and her partner have already agreed to arrange daily taxi rides for their children. Like many locals, they are now staunch believers in the smiling man and will do anything to keep him as far away as possible from their children. Phantom at the Prince of Wales Theatre. The Prince of Wales Theatre, located in the heart of Cannock Town Centre, has long been a renowned and popular entertainment venue in the region. For decades, it has attracted countless locals who have attended at least one Christmas pantomime in their lifetime. However, unbeknownst to many, the Prince of Wales Theatre is allegedly haunted by a chilling phantom that frequently terrorises patrons and employees alike. In recent times, this has become somewhat of an unspoken truth. While most individuals are aware of the supernatural occurrences at the theatre, few are willing to discuss them, for fear of inciting such an encounter upon themselves. Employees are instructed to disregard any unusual sightings during their shifts, believing that if they leave the phantom undisturbed, it will not interfere with them. Regrettably, this reasoning is flawed, as encounters with this otherworldly presence have been steadily increasing. On March 23, 2011, Norton Keynes resident James Gooch reported seeing the phantom in a window at the Prince of Wales Theatre while strolling by with his family. He felt an unsettling sensation of being watched before glancing up and noticing a man dressed in black with a pale face peering through a stairwell window. When James tried to point out the mysterious figure to his girlfriend, it swiftly vanished. In June 2011, 3 months later, Tina Creswell from Hensford claimed to have witnessed a similar apparition. She visited the theatre to buy tickets at the box office and requested to use the restroom. While washing her hands, she saw the reflection of a man fitting the same description standing behind her in the mirror. Startled, she immediately spun around, but the ominous figure had disappeared. Tina was so frightened by the experience that she requested a refund for her tickets. Countless other individuals have shared comparable accounts, and new sightings persist to this day. A former staff member, who understandably wishes to remain anonymous, asserts that they experience paranormal activity at the theatre almost weekly. Chairs would inexplicably shift around the building, bottles at the bar would pop open when unattended, and the phantom itself would materialise to instill sheer terror. This individual's encounters with the entity at the theatre culminated one evening after a stage show featuring a renowned psychic. The man recalled, "The show went smoothly, and some guests lingered afterward to meet the psychic and take pictures. The building likely cleared out around 11 p.m, and I was responsible for tidying up for the next day. I began hearing a peculiar repetitive banging noise coming from inside the empty theatre. The man then re-entered the theatre, only to observe a massive PA speaker bouncing up and down on the stage. Miraculously, the speaker appeared to levitate around 3 inches off the ground before crashing back onto the stage a second later, repeating this process continuously. He recounted, "I stared at it for about a minute, dumbfounded. I couldn't comprehend what I was witnessing, and it sent shivers down my spine. Then it ceased. After a brief moment of silence, all the lights went out, plunging me into complete darkness. I panicked and dashed towards the exit, but that's when I sensed a presence nearby. I can't precisely describe the sensation, but I knew someone else was there." A single spotlight then illuminated the centre of the stage, revealing the phantom standing directly in the beam. The man continued, "I had seen him a few times before, but only briefly in mirrors or windows. This time he was right in front of me, staring directly at me. Suddenly I heard this sinister pipe organ music, so deafening that I instinctively covered my ears. It was unlike anything I'd ever heard, so it's difficult to describe, but it was piercing. As the organ music filled the room, the ghostly figure raised his arms and began to ascend from the stage. The entire building trembled, as if the spirit was drawing energy from its surroundings." Describing this scene, the former employee said, "The last thing I remember, I was sprinting for the door and falling face first as soon as I crossed the threshold. The manager witnessed my fall and inquired if I was all right. I was so shaken that I couldn't speak, but he could sense something was amiss, so he opened the theatre door to investigate. Everything appeared normal. Nothing was moving, all the lights were on, and the phantom had vanished." Unsurprisingly, that individual soon found employment elsewhere. So who is the Prince of Wales Theatre's phantom, and what does he want? Several theories exist, but most people attribute the spirit to Harry Hosker, a failed aspiring actor who lived and died in the Cannock Chase region. Local residents who knew him claim his acting skills were abysmal, and he grew increasingly bitter throughout his life due to consistent rejection from every audition he ever attended. Many believe his spirit latched onto the theatre after a visit shortly before his death, and given Harry's tenacity and craving for recognition, it's doubtful he will ever depart.